Hello, everyone. This is Jessica Pettit, and who do I have the honor of interviewing today?
You have Keka, Keka DasGupta. So some people ask me when they hear that name, how does that sound? And I always tell them it's cake with an A at the end. Then it's really easy to remember, Keka.
Keka. Gotcha.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I have been mispronouncing your name. Good to know. Let's fix that.
All good, no problem. Yeah, and so I am the founder of a personal development brand called The Art of Lifing. So if you think of adulting and all those other words, no, we're talking about how to do life on your own terms and on purpose. And I've been a PR and marketing professional for 23 years. And so now that I'm focused on the art of lifing, I still moonlight in the PR marketing world. And so I do various work for different groups and organizations. And I actually have to tell you, Jess, I'm really proud of the fact that I have 50 marketing awards, international and national, to my name. So all of those long hours and really fun work all paid off. But what I do today is I take the principles of branding, which is like a $1.4 trillion industry, and I apply that to mental health. And so I help people look at their own mental health, how they can stand in their own power, how they can build their confidence to live the life they dream of, the life on their own terms, but using those strategies. Because one question I ask people at the beginning of my talks usually is, have you ever met a brand with poor self-esteem?
Mm.
Answer is unequivocally no. And that's because brands are built to stand in their power. And I've been building brands for 23 years. So suddenly I started going, hang on a second. If we can do this for companies, if we can do this and create a brand out of scratch and have that brand be something that attracts other people and have it be something that stands in its values and knows who it is, why can't we do that ourselves? So that's the mission that I'm on today. And then I work on diversity and inclusion because, hey, I am a brown person. My parents are from India. They came into Canada, and I've always lived in these two different worlds, a little India at home and a big Canada at school and then at work. And so I love matching those two cultures and learning about other cultures. So this became a passion project for me.
Well, Keka, I'm super grateful to have you here today, and I can't wait to get your answers to two questions that are just rolling around in my head. There are no wrong answers, but I'm really curious with your experience and your perspectives cross-culturally, and not to mention Canadian versus weirdo Americans, right? There's never been a time, I think, more where Americans are like, really? Tell me about the healthcare again. Anyway, the two questions that tend to roll around in my head. The first one is this concept of diversity dividend. Now, I will admit that this first kind of started rolling around thinking about like return on investment and profitability of doing diversity work. Ugh. But I am learning as I'm doing these interviews that the words diversity dividend land very differently in people based on their former experience. So I'm curious for you, Keiko, diversity dividend, how does that land on you? What does it make you think about?
Oh, that's so fun. Okay, so diversity dividend. When I first hear that word, what it really makes me think about is um, it's the answer to the question of why should we care about diversity, equity, and inclusion? Like, why me? If it doesn't affect me personally, why should I care about it? And I feel like, we in Canada, we have, especially in our urban centers, we have such pride in being multicultural. But it is the kind of thing where we have the freedom to be able to enjoy so many different cultures from around the world. And diversity dividend to me is bringing that enjoyment and that richness into the workforce, into organizations. So, on any given day, I can be sitting in Toronto in my home and I can order through Uber Eats or any of those, food delivery companies, Ethiopian food. If I want Middle Eastern food, I can order that. If I want Indian food, which my kids tell me, Mom, for us, that's just food. I'm like, yes, that's true. But we can do that. We can go catch a show somewhere that tells us all about Chinese culture, for example. So it allows us to be able to experience the world. The same reason people love to travel. So often people love traveling to different places because they experience the culture and they bring a piece of that with them, and it changes who they are because it opens up their perspective. Well, diversity, equity, and inclusion, in my eyes, is not about like, you shouldn't say this and you shouldn't do this and you should do this, and putting all these like barriers and boundaries on us, but it should open up the fact that you don't know what you're missing. There's some beautiful things out there, beautiful people, beautiful cultures to learn, and we learn and grow from our differences. We learn and grow from our pain points. So to me, diversity dividend would be when you invest in understanding diversity, when you open up your organization to really get all of us to know each other better. Then the dividend is the return you get from that, which is more empowered employees who are opening up their horizons, who can take better risks in the face of adversity, employees who can feel stronger in who they are and who can take more, they can be more innovative. So there's so much there that can come from that diversity piece. And that's the dividend you enjoy when you make that investment.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I love the idea of you don't even know what you're missing. That when, of course, I was in the Peace Corps, right? Hello, white woman doing diversity work. Of course, I was in the Peace Corps. But one of the things about the Peace Corps that I think is always a misnomer, and add to what you just said, is that like I served in Bulgaria, for example, right? So I brought home so much more knowledge than I was ever anticipating after living there. But I also corrected their stereotypes about what United States meant, what it was, what does it mean to be a woman in the United States? What is this freedom and opportunity? So you leave something and take something, right? And that to me is at the root of you don't know what you're missing. All right. Second question rolling around in my weird blue hair. Asterisks, other duties assigned. So in your actual working experience, this could be stuff that got placed on you because you happen to have the right office or because of your identities that you weren't rewarded for that labor, right? Like other duties assigned can get heavy. Yeah. It can also be things that maybe you chose to do outside of your job description to build community or showcase your talents or something. It could be both. I don't know, Keka. Asterisks, other duties assigned. Tell me about that in your actual life.
Oh, I love this. Okay. So Jessica, one of the stories that first came to my mind when you asked that question was my experience growing up watching my dad. So my parents, like I said, immigrated from India. They came to Canada. My dad was the sole breadwinner in our home. My mom is a classical Indian singer. She is so just artful and talented. She composes music, all that. But we were lucky enough to have her at home with us. And I remember time and time again as a young child watching my dad come home from work. He was so dutiful in his work, and he would say, yeah, I got passed up on the promotion again. And, my mom was very like passionate and feisty. It's like, you should fight for it. That's not right, And my dad would say, listen, we have a family to take care of. It's okay. I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going. He always had the faith. But time and time again, he would get passed up on a promotion because his office and his company would say he was a chemist. So he would test. He used to work for Shell Canada. So he would test a lot of the oils and gases that would, like, before they would go to airports to be put on a plane, he would make sure that they were safe. And people would say to him, he is too good at his job. And they were like, you're so good, it's going to be too hard to replace you. And therefore, we can't have you go into management because you need to be here. And in those moments, when I saw it over and over again, one day I was in high school and I made a promise to myself. And I thought, my parents are doing so much of this, and I have a better life because of that. And I'm here in Canada. I'm going to school in Canada. I have all of these opportunities because my parents are making that sacrifice. So to keep that integrity and to give back based on the sacrifices my parents made, I made a promise to myself that I would never, ever stay in a position when I wasn't being valued for what I felt that I could be. Because I have the freedom where I am, who I am, how I am, to move and to change. And there have been a few moments in my life where I was like, you know what? This is not working for me. And so what I did was I decided I'm going to look for something else. And I would concertedly go to work, give my 100%, but I would come home every night and off my resume would go to anybody who'd be willing to listen. But that was like a personal promise that I made to myself. Mm-hmm. And so I feel proud of that. And I'm inspired by watching my dad with the way that he worked and his work ethic. And I also loved how hard he worked. And so I bring that to my work every day. And I always used to think, I don't want to just get up and go to work for the sake of it being a duty. I want to love what I do. I want to wake up and be like, yes, let's make this day happen. And so what I always did in that sense was anytime I was in any type of job, I would look for ways that I could incorporate more of what I love into what I do. And so I'm going to take you back to 2001. just after 9/11 had happened, and you know, everybody was reeling. I was in the middle of working on a project for IKEA Canada. It was like my little project that was called Our World, Our Traditions. And for me, what I noticed when I was working at IKEA is that, you know, they would sell like these little spice jars, like these tiny little things, really cute things that we could put up on a rack in a kitchen. And I would kind of chuckle at it because I'm like, if you filled that one jar with turmeric, I would like in one meal dump the whole thing. Like that would never work for us. And I knew that in a lot of Indian households, we would have like big jam jars or even like pasta containers, and we put our spices in there. And then, you know, when we would have parties in Indian culture, in so many households I'd go to, we didn't put out occasional tables and chairs and seating. It was like we put bed sheets out on the living room floor and said, go get your food, come and enjoy. And it was more important that people enjoyed the food and enjoyed the time with each other than what the table setting looked like. So it was a different kind of living. So I came to my management and I said, I really want to do this campaign just before the holidays, because there's so many different holidays that come up around Christmas. Diwali is the Hindu New Year. Eid is celebrated by the Muslim community. And I said, I want to go to my coworkers who practice these different religions and cultures. I want to learn the unique things that they do in their homes based on their cultural or religious influences. And I want to create a campaign around that so that we can all learn from each other. And IKEA, being the amazing company that they were like, go for it. So they gave me a budget and they left it all up to me. So I was interviewing coworkers, I was putting all of these things together, and then being in PR, I would send all of these out to the media. And little did I know that this just after 9/11, there was so much tension around the Muslim community. Meanwhile, our corporate company just like gave me all the freedom. So I was like, we have little carpets that we sell, like little miniature, you know, mats for the house. I was like, Muslim families could use these as prayer mats, for example. Or we'd have pictures. There was a picture of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, that IKEA used to sell in part of their poster collections. I was like, come buy this and you can use this for Diwali. You know, so I incorporated all the products into this. And the Muslim community, when I reached out to them and said, I want to make sure you're comfortable with this, are you good with this? They embraced it wholeheartedly. So my campaign went out, my little campaign that could, and suddenly I had media coming from everywhere and coming to interview us. We had people rushing into IKEA saying, where are your Eid dishes? We want to use these. And I woke up one morning and I got a note in my email that said, my little campaign was covered in Saudi Arabia. It was covered in Dubai. It was covered in Sweden, saying IKEA Canada is embracing the Muslim community, is embracing ethnic cultures, and celebrating. And they were giving IKEA kudos for a time when there was so much Islamophobia going around that we kind of took the bold step to stand up and do it. And truth be told, I must admit, it had nothing to do with any of the political climate. I just saw an opportunity. I knew this was something valuable that I could share from my culture that I grew up in, and I embraced that principle to learn from other people. We did Caribbean holidays, Sikhism, and how the Sikh family worked. Like we just went all around, Persian New Year, you know, all of that. And it turned out to be something that people really loved. And so that's, you know, for me, it's one of those things where I want to live a life with no compromise. But I really do think that when we push ourselves outside of our comfort zone, that asterisk was so important to me in that, because that was not part of my job description. Nobody had asked me to do that. I
Mhm.
just wanted to share. And if we all take a little bit of ourselves and to share, I think we can create a really powerful world.
And it's a beautiful example of you didn't create new products.
No.
You brought the products that existed and allowed more opportunities because, again, you don't know what you're missing,
Yes.
right? What a great example of the art of lifing.
Yes.
Mhm. Do you see what I did there? Yeah.
I love it.
Are you ready for my two favorite questions?
I am. Yes.
Right.
Lay it on.
First favorite question is, what do you absolutely know?
What do I absolutely know? I absolutely know that when you are speaking to someone and you wholeheartedly believe in what you're saying, the person listening to you will also believe in what you're saying.
Mm,
I
good.
absolutely know that communications is not just about the language we use. It is not even just about the micro expressions in the body language. I absolutely know that it's an exchange of energy. When you feel my energy and you feel the authenticity inside of me and you feel my passion, that's something that's not communicated through body language or anything physical. I think it's an exchange of energy. And I've been in so many boardrooms in my career. I used to work for an ad agency, DDB. It's a multinational network. And I went into so many meetings where it was like millions of dollars of an account on the line. inside. And when I did my work and I believed in what I was saying, and our team came in and said, we know we can make a difference. I can tell you each time we went in wholeheartedly like that, we won the business. And there were multi-million dollars on the line. So to me, that is absolutely what I know. And that's why I'm so focused on the art of lifing, because I feel like when it comes to our own mental health, we get so much told to us by society, like you should conform like this, you should be like that, you shouldn't be like this. We get prescribed so many things. But if we are able to put all of those, like be aware of them and put them out of the way and stand in our own power and who we are, there's nothing more powerful than that. And I believe that wholeheartedly.
So opposite of that, favorite question number 2 is, what have you changed your mind about lately?
Ooh, what if
And it can be anything. It doesn't just have to be work related.
Yes. Okay. I think in the last little bit, I have realized that so often we we look at our environment and we think things happen to us. You know, like we're in COVID, we're in lockdown. This is so unfair. It's not right. And I like to be a very positive person, and I like to, you know, see the world as, you know, where the glass is always half empty. And so when all of this happened, and you know, in Canada and in Toronto, we've been like in perpetual lockdown. We're now in our third wave. Vaccinations still haven't been rolled out properly. Like there's just so much happening. And I was like, it's okay. It's a beautiful world. And you know, I have my kids with me and I have my husband with me and we have our health. And I was looking at all of the things that I should be grateful for and I should be happy about. And still, there were a few days where I woke up and I was like, damn, I just want to stay in bed. I just want to go to sleep. I don't feel happy. What is wrong with me? I need to be grateful. And then I started reprimanding myself that I'm not grateful. I'm not happy enough. And I know today that there are times and places where life happens and we have no control. And we just have to feel all the feels. And that it's okay to feel crappy. It's okay to feel upset. It's okay to feel angry. It's not a negative reflection on you when you feel like that. It is actually us being very human. And that if we show ourselves some gratitude, then we can allow ourselves to be human and be in those cranky moods and feel crappy. And that will pass. It'll pass just like everything else does.
Yeah, my therapist says a lot of stuff is happening, and it is an emotionally appropriate response to be angry about some of the bad stuff happening. Oh, that's good to know. All right, lightning round. Okay, so I have 50 questions. You picked 3 random numbers. I will tell you if they are easy, intermediate, or deep, and then read the question, and then you, as quickly and succinctly as possible, get to answer these fun icebreaker questions. So first one, number 6, is an easy question, according to me, and that is, name the most beautiful place to which you have been.
Oh my gosh. Okay. North Rustico Beach in Prince Edward Island is my absolute favorite place in the world. It's got red stoned cliffs and edges and beaches, and the Atlantic Ocean just comes roaring in. And the first time I experienced it, the sun was setting and I did not want to go home. I was like, I just want to live in this moment forever. And so when I returned a few years later, I was like, where is this beach? Because we had kind of stumbled upon it. And I did everything I could, talk to every local to find it. And I know now that that is my favorite place.
Awesome. That's amazing. Okay. Number 2 favorite number is a deep question, number 39. And that is, what is the most rewarding thing you've ever done for someone else?
Okay. So the most rewarding thing that I've ever done, which I ironically
For someone else.
For someone else, yes. I wrote a living eulogy for my mom about 5 years ago. And I first did it because I felt like I was being very selfish, but I thought, I love my mom so much. If she ever passes away, like I lost my dad in high school to an accident, and it was 2 weeks and he was done. And I never got a chance to say goodbye. I didn't want that to happen with my mom. So I said, I'm going to write a living eulogy to my mom, because then I can express to her exactly how I feel while she's living, and I will feel better. And I had no idea the impact it actually had for her and what I did for her. So when she finally read the eulogy, and I called her and I said, hey, did you read it? She was like, Keka, I didn't know if I should laugh or cry or scream. I wanted to take this eulogy and go out to all of my neighbors and anybody I could see and say, look at this. Look what my daughter wrote for me. This is how she said I impacted her. And she said that this was the greatest gift she had ever received in her life. And I was like, wow, it was like a happy pill back to me. And I'm like, I need to do this for everybody now. But that definitely stands out for me.
Oh, that's amazing. I don't know that I've ever told this story, but I remember I had a contentious relationship with my father after our mother died. And for, I think it was a holiday or something, that my father was trying to find out, like, what is the perfect gift. And he always waited until it was perfect to do something and then died suddenly. So then like all the important things never got done. So anyway, so that particular, maybe it was our birthdays, I can't remember. Anyway, my father was like, what do I get? What do I get? And I was like, write your son and your daughter, which he had a hard time admitting we still existed. Write your son and a daughter a letter about your favorite memories of like their childhood. Like, I mean, I am the daughter, but he talked about us in third person. So write the letter. So then of course, like a couple of weeks later or so, my father died, and I was cleaning out his desk and his house and all the stuff. And I found drafts of the letters. So
Wow.
like I mean, again, perfection. So like there was a different tablet for both my brother and I, and it was like a list, and then the list was turned into sentences, and then those sentences were being edited, and then so they hadn't quite gotten to paragraphs, but like clearly he was like flipping through because the pages were bent. And it was doing something like that to a living person is a gift, even if it is not finished or not perfect. Just give it to them because it will mean a lot. Right, thank you for that
Oh,
little
thank you for
healing moment.
sharing.
I just saved people a copay. You're welcome. Okay, last lightning round. Thank you for letting me share that vulnerable moment. Number 47, also a deep question. Given the ability, in what one athletic sport would you most want to compete?
Okay, so this, you're gonna laugh at this because my kids and I were watching a basketball game yesterday with my husband. It was the Women's Basketball Association. They had like I'm forgetting the word now, for their draft. So they had like a recording, and my kids thought it would be funny because I was talking about women's liberation. They recorded it and they said, if you support women, you have to watch this draft. And I'm like, watch women basketball players being drafted. I mean, I appreciate that they're doing it. I don't want to watch it. They were like, but you said, because I used to make this case to them, I've got two boys and I want to raise them to be feminists, and so I'd be like, women's sports should be given equal right as men. So they were making this case, the NHL draft. We all watch that. We should watch the women's basketball draft. So I watched it with them. But in the process, I said to them, if basketball, all we have to do, because there were some women there that were like 6'1", 6'5", and I thought, this is like just incredible. And I said, if we just lowered the basketball net a little bit, then people like me could be a basketball star. I'm 5'1". And so they started laughing, and they're like, well, then what would the people who are 6'5" do? And I was like, I don't know, just give me a chance to do it. And they said, what was your favorite sport when you were growing up? And I said, basketball. And my kids thought I had three heads. They looked at me like I had three heads, and I said, no, I really liked it because it gave me a chance. I was little, I could like start dribbling the ball, and I could go down further and go in between people. And then I just had to perfect my aim and my angle to throw the basketball up. I would never be the ones that would like jump up and hold the hoop as I was falling, but it was a sport that I loved. And they really did think I was absolutely nuts. And I kind of thought it was funny because yes, it's a sport for tall people, but that was one thing that I absolutely loved.
Oh, that's amazing. And I think it speaks to your passion and persistence as well. So, Keka, if people wanted to get in touch with you, how would they best do that?
This is the social media world. Isn't it awesome? So wherever you are, no, I want to say, I am on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love it if you would go to my YouTube channel and subscribe or check out my videos. It's called The Art of Lifing, LIFE-ING, with Keka. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of the stuff. So
All of the things.
all of the stuff. Good thing is that Keka DasGupta is a rare enough name that if you Google me, you'll find me.
That's true. I actually became friends with 4 other Jessica Pettits when Facebook was brand new because they kept getting messages from me, and they're all actually like very athletic, very well acclaimed, awarded medals kind of stuff. And I'm like, how about I'm the one that's not the athlete?
Oh my God.
Like,
So that reminds me of a story. So, as a child, we used to have a children's show. I don't know if this was in the US, but it's called The Romper Room. And there's just a kid. Yeah. So at the end of the show, the lady, remember, it looked like a tennis racket or something. She would hold it up on the screen and she would be like, I see Betty and David and Susan. And she would name people. And Jessica, every morning, I'm like, say Keka, please say Keka. And I had no idea that I was an ethnic minority. And, so I was just like, and every morning I'd get disappointed. So still today, if I can get something with my name on it, it makes me super happy. And the first time that I came to recognize that there are more people with the name Keka DasGupta was when I was in India 5 years ago, and I was staying in a hotel with my family, and I was waiting for a package to come to the hotel. So I came up to the front desk and I said, "Hi, do you have a package for Keka DasGupta? I'm waiting for it." And the lady goes through and she says, "We have 3 Keka DasGupta staying here. What's your room number?" And I was like, "Hallelujah! I've made it into the mainstream." It was like such a foreign experience for me. It was like there's other Keka DasGuptas here, and I didn't get a chance to meet them, unfortunately, but it certainly made my day knowing that there are other people with the same name as me, which here would never happen.
And full circle, thank you for correcting all of us that mispronounced your name. And Keka, thank you so much for being here today. This has been a really great time. And for anybody who's ever interested, go to all of our links, like or subscribe, do these kind of things, and keep doing the art of lifing. Thank you very much, y'all.
Pleasure. Thank you.